Hi there. Welcome to the Language of Excellence podcast. I'm your host, Nick Nyber. And in this podcast, what we do is we speak to business owners, salespeople, entrepreneurs, and teach them how to live the language of excellence. I want to thank you for plugging in here today, whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you're listening in on a podcast. I want to thank you for listening in. If you have not yet subscribed, or followed me on one of your podcast platforms, go ahead and do that so you're not missing any future episodes. Keep those 5-star reviews coming in. That just helps us impact more people every day. So let's get to it. Today's topic is the top 5 reasons why you need to listen or read Fanatical Prospecting. I'm going to go ahead. If you are watching this on video, I'm holding up the book here, Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt. If you have read this, I want to congratulate you, because what this episode is going to do is it's going to be a reminder for all the different value that Mr. Blunt shows and shares in this book. If you've not yet read it, if you don't read books, but you are in sales and you are looking to grow your business, this is one of the most referred books that I've read. There's about 4 or 5 books that I have in my library that I refer quite often. This is one of them. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing the top 5 reasons why you want to go ahead and pick up this book, and the top 5 reasons why you want to maybe pick it up again and read it as a review. And these 5 reasons, they're actually tied right in with the chapters. I think there's probably about 13 or 14 different chapters through the book. So reason number one why you want to go ahead and pick up this book is Jeb. He holds no punches. I'm going to go ahead and pull up page 7. I got the soft cover book, so it might be a little bit different if you got if you have the hardcover book or Audible. But what he says on page 7 is, here's the brutal truth. There is no easy button in sales. Prospecting is hard, emotionally draining work, and it's the price you have to pay to earn a high income. Anyone in sales knows sales can be hard. Sales can be tough. And I think there was this statement. He doesn't talk about it in this book, but I've heard this either on an audio or another podcast in the past. But what I've heard was, sales is the easiest job to work hard at, and it's the hardest job to work easy. And what he says here in the beginning part of the book is, he says, hey, there is no easy button. There are no shortcuts. At the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to bring value to the marketplace, and we can't bring value to the marketplace unless we're letting people know what we do, who we help, how we help them, and how we can better their business, better their lives. All right. So that's the first reason why you want to do that. He's not an author that's just trying to sell millions of books. He's writing this book to teach you the truths about sales. And I think that's probably why it's such a popular book. Reason number 2, he talks about knowing your numbers. Think about fitness. Think about sales itself. Think about calories. Think about exercise. When it comes to areas that we want to improve, what's the first thing that we're taught to do? We're taught to track our numbers. If we want to lose weight, we start counting our calories. We start measuring what we're consuming. Sales is the same way. There's different processes for different industries. If you're in a longer term sales process, those numbers are going to be different than more of a transactional sale. But knowing your numbers is invaluable, because if you know it takes 20 phone calls to get 4 appointments, and it takes 4 appointments to get 1 sale, all you got to do is just work that process backwards. And as long as you're doing the work at the front end, you should have the result at the end. And what he talks about is knowing your numbers. And how he writes this book is he writes it specifically for any specific industry in sales. It could be very small, like same day transaction, or it could be a 5-year sales process. Salespeople still need to know their numbers. Number 3, identifying the objective of sales. The objective of prospecting is more or less what I'm speaking of. If you have someone that you know that you can help, but they don't know who you are, if you go ahead and give them a call today, or you go ahead and give them a call tomorrow, and it's like a longer sales process, you certainly can't expect to close that deal that day unless there's a major pain point for that customer or that client or that prospect. So what he talks about is there's 4 specific objectives of prospecting. And when you're out reaching out to clients, when you're out talking to different people, when you're asking for referrals, reconnecting with your client base, there's a specific objective every time that you reach out to someone, whether it's building familiarity, letting them know what you do. It could be very well closing the sale. You've been working with them for a month or 2 or 3 months and now they're ready. Knowing the objective of what you're doing, because if you spend most of your time familiarity, that's a specific area that he talks like one specific objective. If you spend 100% of your time just building familiarity, but you're not actually qualifying, you might be building your familiarity with the wrong kind of client. They might not even be the right client for you. So knowing those specific objectives, that's going to make a tremendous difference on how you reach out to those different clients. Now, keep in mind, there are some businesses, there are some sales roles that have a completely different buying cycle. Whether it could be merchant sales, it could be personal lines insurance sales, it could be commercial insurance, it could be mortgages, it could be, it could be any kind of sales process. He wrote this book where it's going to relate to anyone and everyone when it comes to the sales process. Okay. So step 1, the reason 1, holds no punches. He tells you the truth. Number 2, knowing your numbers. Number 3, knowing the objective of why you're actually reaching out to that client. And then the 4th one, and he's actually written a more recent book since COVID, because he was talking a little bit more about the remote sales and selling, not face to face. But in this book, he goes over. He reserves a chapter for each of these areas. He spends one whole chapter on phone sales. He spends a chapter on texting. He spends a chapter on social selling, using different social media platforms. He talks about email because, again, keeping in mind, there are different ways to reach out to different clients in different industries. For example, I'll just use commercial insurance as an example. If I were to reach out to a business owner and I sent them a text, knowing full well about the insurance industry, I'm probably going to want to maybe have a little bit more of a mixed approach reaching out to that prospect. I might want to reach out to give them a call to introduce myself. Maybe I want to send them an email with some collateral, maybe some information about my company. If I do know them personally, then maybe sending them a text, like really understanding, all right, how am I going to reach out to that client? Why am I going to reach out to the client? And how am I going to reach out to that client? He covers those different areas in such a great way. You're really going to learn a lot from those chapters. And then the 5th reason is, and this almost goes back to the first reason, is mental toughness. He talks about different areas where you can improve yourself so you're showing up better. Some of the individuals that I know most well that do the most prospecting deal with lots of rejection. And dealing with rejection is hard. It's tough. One of the responses that some people say is, don't take it personally. Well, anyone that's been in sales knows that, yes, I might not take it personally, but it's still personal. And that's the mental toughness that you just have to build, that you have to get through to that when you're in sales, because there are so many individuals, whatever it is, whatever product or service that you offer to your clients, and it's a good product or service, it's bringing a ton of value to the marketplace. There's a lot of noise these days that business owners and other entrepreneurs, they're like, all this information's coming in at each and every day. And then your job as a salesperson is really to interrupt them. He talks about that in chapter 2 or chapter 3, where it's not so much the cold call that people are afraid of. It's really just interrupting the people. Just becoming a professional interrupter is really how I took it. And that's really what sales comes down to. You get really, really good at sales. You get really, really good at the sales process. You get really, really good at following up and really, really good at closing and really, really good at taking care of the client and following up. Then guess what's going to happen after that? Now you're going to start to get referrals. And now you might not need to make as many cold calls. You might not need to do as much prospecting because you've built that credibility. You've built that competence in the marketplace. So whether you're new to sales, whether you're a veteran of sales, the number one way to win at sales is to continue to fill that pipeline. Continue to fill that pipeline. And as long as you're continuing to fill that pipeline, the results for the sales should come. Now, it's not that easy. Sales is a practice just like any other industry that's out there. If you're a teacher, teachers should be constantly getting better. If you're a doctor, you're always getting better. If you're a mechanic, there's always new things being taught. In sales, there's always new things that we can do, whether it's soft skills, whether it's hard skills, whether it's industry knowledge. There's always ways that we can get better. So if you've not yet purchased Fanatical Prospecting, here I'm going to pop it up again. If you're seeing this video, if you're seeing this on YouTube, go ahead and pick up this book. It's an amazing, amazing book. I'm going to have the link in my show notes for the podcast. And I hope this brought some value to you. If you did find some value and you know someone that needs to hear this message, go ahead and share it. Go ahead and share this, share the screenshot, Language of Excellence podcast, share it with your social platforms, share it with your family, share it with your friends. And again, keep those 5-star reviews coming and continue to live the language of excellence.